What are your instant regret moments with your so? My GF showed me a picture from her college track star days. Over the last few years we've grown more in love, and before my brain could process an intelligent response, I just blurted out, "Man, you used to be so skinny." "Oh, okay," as she walks away. "What have I done?" GIF. Airplane sweating. GIF. Edit. A lot of y'all need to learn to communicate with those you love better. Love is patient, love is kind. Edit part. I've really enjoyed reading all of your responses while at work today.
We met in high school, so I pretty much did anything I could to impress her. She said she didn't like bananas, so for almost 6 years I've pretended to despise bananas and have to turn in an Oscar-worthy performance whenever I'm around her and we see one. I'm in too deep now, I have to eat them in secret. It's a heavy burden.
That's bananas.
BANANAS.
Follow these instructions carefully. You need to ease back into it in front of her. If you dive straight into it, she'll question your loyalty to her and the bananas. While you guys are at a grocery store or a friend's house, you need to do this. Pick up a banana, look at it with curiosity in your face. Say, I never really gave bananas a chance growing up. I wonder if they've changed the taste of them in the past few years. Eat it while she's watching you, and go like, not so bad. She's probably gonna give you some BS like, bananas are gross. Frick that biatch, bananas are great. Then don't buy or say anything related to bananas for a few days, weeks. Then one day, out of freaking nowhere, bring home some banana bread. Say some bullpoop excuse like, someone at work brought some in and offered me some, and then you decided to buy some on the way home. Do this for a while until she stops giving you flack. Don't be afraid to mix it up, like bananas in your smoothies, pudding, shakes, ice cream, it doesn't matter, as long as you've got nanas in it. After all of this, the day has finally come where you can buy and eat them poops freely and openly in front of your wife. Don't be afraid to show your love for bananas, bro. You're in the closet and you've got to break free, only then will you truly be happy.
I was 17 years old and my girlfriend at the time was packing for a trip. We were talking about the combination she should use for her luggage, and I suggested using the date of my birthday, since her birthday would be too obvious. She then tells me, "Oh, I already set it to October 13th. And me, in my infinite wisdom, deadass said, "But why? That's an insignificant date." In 1 second her face went through half a dozen expressions, each one more terrifying than the last. In that moment I suddenly remembered, that was the day of our first date. Luckily before she could murder me right there, I quickly blurted out, "Wait, that's the day we start going out," and all was forgiven.
Who buddy? Close one.
My GF had a problems with super puffy hands and fingers after running. "Wow, your arms biceps looks so puffy," she looked at me and said, "My arms have never been puffy." Also the time she wanted my honest opinion on her purple lipstick, there was a lot of tears.
Dark purple almost black is great, but mostly in pictures and needs a lot of makeup with it or you look like a homeless goth.
Unless homeless goth is your aesthetic though.
Can any girl pull off purple lipstick? We would have all lost that one.
Oh god, the lipstick. My GF was getting into makeup and got new makeup which had a bright red lipstick she was super excited about, but I didn't know she was excited. She surprised me with it and I burst out laughing because I hadn't seen her wear lipstick before and she looked so cute. She hasn't ever worn that lipstick again and I feel bad about it years later.
We were wrestling and I was jokingly threatening him to shove my finger up his ass. I was fumbling around in the general area and accidentally dooted his butthole gently. I thought it was lower down. Super gentle doot. And yet it was like the earth stood still. We both froze and he doesn't trust me around his butthole to this day, even though my accidental butthole doot happened like 10 years ago.
At least commit to it by yelling, "Oil check," before doing it.
I was trying to talk dirty with my wife. I meant to say, "Put my fat cock in your mouth," but I got jumbled up and said, "Put my cock in your fat mouth." That was the end of that little session.
One day my girlfriend was texting me complaining about dealing with a certain coworker. The things she was complaining about were rather small, and I wasn't in a great mood and just wasn't ready to deal with it as I was also busy at work, so I made the mistake of texting her, "Hey, just relax." As soon as I saw the text send, I knew I had messed up bad.
Follow it up with, "It's going to be okay. I'm here for you."
You just saved a lot of lives.
Was in a really abusive relationship for 3 years. Now with a wonderful woman. Woke up in the middle of the night after a particularly bad nightmare and turned over and accidentally kneed her gently and said, "Poop, name of X, I'm sorry." In my dumb sleepy phase. Instantly backpedaled after realizing what I'd done. She caught it, but I made up some poop excuse and we let it go. I still think about it to this day.
Hey man, trauma comes in a lot of forms. Are you doing okay?
Or, if you are comfortable with it, you could just explain that you had an abusive ex and had a bad nightmare.
Was giving my GF a massage and told her she had no shoulders, meaning she had no muscles. Boy, did she take that the wrong way and thought I called her fat.
LMAOO, I'm picturing what would happen if my so said I didn't have any shoulders. I tend to take things very literally, so I'd end up being like, if I didn't have shoulders, could I do this? Waves arms around like wavy wacky inflatable tube man.
My boyfriend and I were talking about glasses frames because I need new ones. Him, what do you think about clear ones? Me, nah, aren't those out of style now? I think they make people's faces look bad. Him, oh, guess who has clear frames, and walked away sadly into the kitchen. I still feel bad. Normally he wears contacts.
One time we were making out early in the relationship and I paused the session to ask something. He, disappointed at the interruption, said, "You know, you're bad at making out." Then I watched his brain catch up to his mouth and an expression of "what have I done, oh no" instant regret cross his face. I laughed my ass off. We've been together 5 years. I have not forgotten.
She did something that was just like her mother. I, of course, pointed that out, and I swear my soul was ripped from my body for a few moments from the stare she gave me.
Darn babe, you give blowjobs just like your mother.
My boyfriend asked me what my biggest insecurity was. Then he asked me if it was my nose. This was before we started dating.
We were taking a shower together. I was super gassy. I opened the shower curtain to fart. It smelled terrible and the smell wasn't going away. Turns out I had sharted on the edge of the shower. Misa handled it very well but immediately got out. Edit. Didn't realize this was on AskMen, so obligatory. I'm not a man, but
we work together. Different area of the building. I'm training a new girl. Found out she grew up in the same town, predominantly Spanish, as my GF. We start talking food, restaurants. She asks if I have ever been to, insert Spanish restaurant. Wasn't sure, so I say, "You know what? Come with me, I'll ask my girl and introduce you to her." I guess that pissed her off pretty bad. For 3 days she kept bringing it up. Being snarky with me and saying poop like, "You take your new señorita to that restaurant yet?" The new girl is a lesbian and has a girlfriend.
That just sounds unhealthy.
First date with now wife. Thai food, great. We loved it. Awesome time. Dropped her off at home. Went inside to talk more since it was winter. After a 13-hour workday and a date, I promptly passed out. About an hour later, she's on the other couch dozing and watching me sleep. Well, what I haven't mentioned is that Thai food does a few things to me. 1. Makes me insanely sleepy apparently. 2. Gives me loud farts. 3. I'd been holding one in off and on again for the better part of 2 hours. 4. I have PTSD and regularly jerk awake ready to fight. There I am, snoozing along with her, peacefully dozing, when incredibly that same fart decides to pull a sneaky escape. Due to the noise, I jerk awake and start swinging, either from the fart or the instant giggling from the other couch. I instantly realize what's happened and act like I'm asleep still. 10+ years and 4 kids later, I still cringe about it. Probably not anything but cringy embarrassment. This might not be what you were looking for in the op, but, man, I still think about it once a week randomly.
Not my so, but my date, which was a transfer student from abroad still learning my language. We were casually talking birthdays, and hers happened to be in September, so I asked her, "Are you a Virgo?" Problem is, that in my language we use the same word for Virgo and Virgin, so I looked up and she was looking at me terrified for a second before I did an instant regret trademark and explained that in my language Virgo and Virgin are the same word.
I'm 5 feet 0 inches. My boyfriend and I were at a party, and I met a friend of his called Tanya. Conversation in the car after the party. Me: wow, Tanya is really sweet. And she's hot. Him: well, she's short, so she automatically falls into the cute category. My 5 feet 0 inches ass then just said, "Oh," and he immediately realized what he said and frantically tried to backpedal. It was pretty funny. I was not offended, but I did bring it up every so often to annoy him.
When I first started dating my boyfriend, I was pretty nervous, awkward. He went in for a kiss, we hadn't kissed much yet, and it dawned on me that my lips were terribly chapped from sunburning myself the other day. I pulled away, and him, thinking something was up, asked me what was wrong. Of course, the only thing my brain could put together was, "I'm embarrassed to kiss you with my chapped butthole lips." He was obviously confused, so I had to explain what I meant. It gets worse though. The night goes on and I end up giving him a blowjob. And as we're lying there in each other's arms, I casually mention that we technically did anal. I guess in the end he found my humor endearing.
This one wasn't actually me, but my sister, sorry G. She and her boyfriend at the time had spent the night together for the first time, and she has a sensitive stomach and is frequently gassy. She woke up early and felt the urge to fart, and remembered that a friend had told her that if she scooches to the edge of the bed, pointing her butt out of the covers and uses her hand to slightly spread her butt cheeks, it would be silent and wouldn't be trapped under the covers. So she did exactly that and heard her new boyfriend say, what just happened? Apparently she didn't realize there was a mirrored closet behind her and he had watched the entire thing. They are now happily married and trying to start a family.